are now listening to the Baseball Fam Podcast, brought to you by baseballfam.com, where we talk America's pastime, college and Major League Baseball. Here's your host, the founder of baseballfam.com and shit ball players do, Shane Sully.
I think we're recording. All right, cool. Baseball fam, what's up? Welcome back to episode 14 of the Baseball Fam Podcast. Got a pretty sweet one for you guys today. This is the first one in 14 episodes. Well, besides some of the MLB guys we had on earlier, but this is the first time where you are not going to hear me just talking to myself for 25 minutes. So I'm pretty excited for this one. I'm joined by my good buddy, Mario Mejia. What's up, man?
What's up, man? What's going on? I'm excited to be doing this podcast.
Let's do it, man. I'm as excited as you are. So, guys, Mario is the host of the Dirty Water podcast, which is Boston Red Sox themed, which is now on baseballfam.com, which we are pretty excited about. Threw up the first one the other day. How's the podcast going?
It's a lot of fun. I've been, for years, ranting just, with everybody about the Red Sox. So I finally thought, I was talking before the season started with my brother. I'm like, how about we just get 2 microphones and, once a week we just sit down and everything we usually yell at each other in the car, we'll just yell at in microphones. And so far it's going pretty well. It's a lot of fun.
As simple as that sounds, that actually makes for a pretty good podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Instead of yelling at ourselves, like that's me. I was like, instead of just bitching to myself in my head, why don't I go get a microphone and boom, the Baseball Fan Podcast was born.
You'd be surprised by the amount of people that want to listen to you bitch.
I know. I used to, like, it actually started, I used to just bitch so much on Snapchat. Like, I would go on these, 3-minute long Snapchat rants, and we'd have, 6,000 people viewing these things. But I was like, I'm sick of getting cut off every 10 seconds and having to record. Like, that 3-minute Snapchat rant takes me at least 20 minutes to make. So I was like, well, let's just figure it out on a podcast. And here we are. And we're starting to figure out this podcast thing. I think people are starting to like it. These things get some pretty good downloads. And it's been a while since we were at the top of the charts, but we used to be way up there, dude, which was so shocking to me. So apparently people love to hear us bitch. So why don't we just get on with the bitching, man?
Get right into it. All right. I'm excited.
All right. And by the way, guys, you guys can go check out that Dirty Water podcast at baseballfam.com/DWP. That should take you right into iTunes. So make sure you subscribe, leave a rating, review, and tweet in your thoughts. Let us know what you think. But all right, man, so we got a couple new things to talk about. Number one, the first update on the All Star Game voting is out, which I have some seriously passionate thoughts. And if you're an avid reader of our Twitter or listener, whatever, you can probably already guess what my thoughts are on the All Star Game voting, but we are going to break it down. And I know it's early, but it's never too early to complain, and it's never too early to hate on Royals fans. So I'm excited about that. Let's see what else happened this week. We've got Noah Syndergaard versus Chase Utley. That was a pretty interesting showdown. So I'm sure you guys have seen it by now, but third inning, Dodgers at Citi Field. Syndergaard, the man, decides to take Chase Utley's fate into his own hands and attempts to plunk him in the ribs, which I'm assuming that's where he was aiming, and happened to miss about 6 feet left of the guy's ribs and threw into the backstop, got ejected. And Twitter was in an uproar because everyone, I don't care what team you're a fan of, what players you like, everyone has a side. Everyone has a horse in that race, it seems like. Like everyone, either you're on the Chase Utley wagon or you're not. So, Mario, tell me, were you on the Utley wagon or the Syndergaard wagon?
I am definitely on the Syndergaard wagon. I don't hate Chase Utley for what he did as much as a lot of people do. I take it as he was, he's a dirt dog, but at the same time, that was a really filthy slide. And, you kind of saw it coming. You knew if anybody on the Mets was going to hit Chase Utley, it was going to be Noah Syndergaard. And I was totally in favor. I thought, I was thinking he's got pinpoint control, and I've seen a lot of people talking on the radio or on MLB Network whether or not he was actually trying to hit Utley or just trying to send a message. I don't know what you think about that. You think he really wanted to hit him and he just overthrew?
I don't think he 110% tried to hit him. sending a message, the message has already been sent. Like, what do you mean send a message? Like, send a message to Chase Utley that what he did was wrong and Mets fans are upset about it. I think that message has been clearly sent. So he was definitely trying to plunk him in the ribs. I don't know. The guy does have pretty good control. I know from experience, like when I was trying to, it's not as easy as it looks. Like you think it's, okay, the guy's standing 6'3", plunk him in the ribs, the ash, you got a ton of room to work with. But dude, it's not easy. Like I've missed some guys in the past. Like I've, missed blowing in or missed behind the guy. Like I've been there. So I don't think he was 110% trying to plunk him and he just missed, which sucks because it was like the perfect 6-month-long story was like about to just climax and he missed. He screwed it up for all of us. So I'm kind of mad at him, to be honest.
Well, I mean, you can say Syndergaard screwed it up, but the umpire screwed that situation up entirely.
Okay, so you think he shouldn't have been tossed?
There's no way Syndergaard should have been tossed because that's just another classic case of the umpires trying to take the game into their own hands. When everybody in that stadium knew Utley was going to be hit, I'm pretty sure Utley said before the series started, I'm expecting to get hit. And to be honest, he kind of deserved it for what he did. Well, I mean, what do the Mets look like if they don't retaliate to Chase Utley in their own ballpark? Because I was there on Sunday night, the game after Utley was thrown at, and I've never heard people boo anybody that loudly before.
Yeah,
it was really intense. Them and the umpires, when the umpires were introduced, they got booed pretty hard too. But Mets fans were not happy, so you kind of had to expect.
So do you think this was an umpire thing, or do you think this was more of like a Major League Baseball thing? Because these umpires, they know what's going on around the game. They know what happens between the teams. I mean, do you think MLB was like, listen, you're going to cut the shit before it even happens? Because, I mean, so let's say I'm just going to play devil's advocate here, and I don't really know which side I'm on in this situation. I don't know if I think he should have been tossed or shouldn't have been tossed. I'm still on the fence there, so maybe you can sway me one way or the other. But, I mean, do you think if he remains in the game, does he try again?
I don't think so. And if he did, then you can get tossed. But
okay,
it's a matter of consistency. I was at a game at Fenway Park where David Price hit Ortiz, and there were warnings issued, and then Price hit somebody else later on in the game and didn't get thrown out. And now Noah Syndergaard gets thrown out after one pitch behind Chase Utley. So I just want to see consistency. If you're going to throw everybody out after throwing at somebody, fine. If you're going to not throw them out, fine. I just want to see a consistent, rule across MLB where it lets you know what you can and cannot do.
Definitely. I think that's a tough thing to do, though, because I think there's so many moving parts and so many variables in something like that. So let's say, obviously, if he hits Chase Utley, okay, he was plunking him, throw him out or whatever. But, if he hits Jock Peterson, does he get thrown out? No. So it's not so much of a black and white thing. I think there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, let's say it's a 1-2 count in the 8th inning and he, plunks him with a fastball in the knee. I mean, there's a lot of variables, so it's really tough to be consistent in that, I think. So I don't know. And here's a question: Do you think if Syndergaard hits him in the ribs or in the back or the ass or whatever, do you think he still gets tossed?
Definitely, I think so. I think that umpire, he was like trigger happy. He was waiting for something to happen. So I think no matter what, even if that ball missed, inside, but it was close enough, I think he gets thrown out. That's
interesting. Because obviously if you throw the ball 3 feet behind the guy, I mean, you missed pretty bad. That ball didn't slip out of your hands. You were hunting for something. But, if it's a 1-1 pitch and you get him with a fastball on the knee and the inside, like I think if you hit him, it's obviously you're closer to the strike zone. So maybe the umpire isn't as trigger. I see what you're saying, but maybe he starts to second guess, whether that pitch was headed for the inside corner or headed for Utley's ribs. And on something like that, like the umpire makes such a split decision, such an instant decision. So if you make him, even question that ball was headed for the strike zone, maybe the result is different. So it turns out to be pretty funny. Like if he would have actually hit the guy, Mets fans would have been happier. He would have been happier and might have stayed in the game. But then you wouldn't see him in relief tonight. Like we were just talking about before the show, you said Syndergaard is currently in relief.
Yeah, they just pulled him in. and he's definitely hyped up because I was seeing a lot of the writers saying he's sitting at 101. So I bet the White Sox are hoping one of those don't run inside because that pretty sure wouldn't feel good. I remember getting hit in Little League by like 55 used to hurt like a bitch. So I'm sure 101 doesn't feel too good.
Yeah, dude, you could get hit by 60 miles an hour. There's just a couple places on your body that I don't care if it's 65 miles an hour, it's gonna hurt. I've never been hit by I think probably the most I've ever been hit by is 88 to 90 miles an hour. I don't know if I've been hit by anything else, but I imagine it doesn't feel good. And what the scariest thing about it, I was talking with my brother the other day, like it's really hard for you and I and the casual baseball viewer, even the casual baseball player, to put into perspective what a 101 mile an hour fastball looks like. You see it on TV every now and then, but like it's hard to picture what that looks like at the plate. So the best way to put that into perspective is to think about, if you've played at an average college level and you're listening and you've seen the difference between an 80 mile an hour fastball and a 85 or a 90 mile an hour fastball. Like you can clearly see the difference even between 80 and 85. So jump that like 3 more segments and you've got 101 miles an hour. Like that's just insane. I couldn't imagine getting hit by that.
Yeah, my baseball career pretty much ended in the 4th grade when I started getting hit by the pitch because I became terrified. And my swing, I still to this day in wiffle ball, when I will step forward, I still step out a little bit because I got so used to being like, I got to get out of here. So,
well, you must have gotten drilled by that one then, huh? Left you scarred for life.
Yeah, I got one right in the shoulder, and it's still, it
still hurts
sometimes. Yeah. And I credit that one kid for hitting me for getting this weird crack I have in my shoulder.
Jeez, well, I hope you recover from that. That sounds brutal.
Me too.
All right, man. So enough about that. Now, what I've been waiting to bitch about all day. So the All Star Game voting update, or whatever you want to call it, is out for the American League at least. Nothing for the National League, right?
Right. So, that comes out tomorrow.
Right. So they've got all the positions and like the top 5 vote getters, and outfield's got like the top 15 or something. And I just remember back to last year how mad I was and how upset everyone was with the shenanigans that the Kansas City Royals fans, I'm not going to put it on the players. I don't like the Royals. I'm an Indians fan, so I don't like the Royals. I hate the Royals. I mean, they're my least favorite team. And I'm a Yankee hater too, but like I hate the Royals even more. But this one I've got to put on their fans. Now, their fans have caught a lot of shit over the last couple years since they've been relevant because they weren't relevant for something like 20 years since their playoff appearance.
I think they went 20 years in between playoff appearances.
Yeah, they went 20 years and then went back-to-back World Series, winning the second one. So then all these fans come out of the woodwork. And before we get into this, like, just if you're a Royals fan, cut me a break if you know you're not this douchebag type of Royals fan that we're talking about. So just understand, look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself if you are the type of person we're talking about. Are you the type of person that is responsible? Let me see how many of you there are. Are you one of the 473,205 people that have voted Omar Infante as the starting second baseman for the American League All Star Game back-to-back years? Do you remember how long Infante was at the top of that list last year?
He was up there for a long while, and it made absolutely no sense. I'm pretty sure he's not leading it this year. I think Altuve is ahead of him.
Yes.
He's in second, but right now he's hitting. I wrote down the stats before.
Well, he has about 470,000 too many votes.
Yeah, he's hitting 244 with no home runs, 10 RBIs, no stolen bases, and he's got a 618 OPS. And Robinson Cano is trailing him, hitting 293, 15 home runs, 44 RBIs with a 931 OPS. Apparently, Omar Infante is more deserving of a second base spot.
I mean, and typically, like, this is the first update, right? So there's a couple 100,000 votes for the top vote getters. I think Salvador Perez is over 1 million.
That's
but
the one I don't get upset about.
Yeah, that one's fine, and we'll go position by position here and take a look. But I mean, I would understand that this is the first update and it's going to change, so everyone chill out. But that's not necessarily the case because we saw it last year. It got so far that it got to the point where we were having dead-ass serious discussions about whether Infante would decline the invite to the All-Star Game or like what the right thing was to do. Like if MLB would have